What is going on, traders? Happy Monday. I wanted to wish all of you watching a happy Halloween, and I hope you guys were all able to enjoy your day-to-day, dress up if you guys did, and I hope you guys all had fun trading this morning. And so as usual, I'm going to go ahead and provide you guys with an update and let you guys know exactly how my trading did go today. So let's get right into today's video. And as you guys can see from the screens, unfortunately today was a red day, right? In terms of my day trading, I was down about $56 on TQQQ, and I was up about $27 on SQQQ, right? So I was down about $30 on the day in terms of my day trading. And as you guys can tell, right, these were all my orders. I started trading at 6:30 at market open, and I stopped trading actually at 1:19 p.m., right? So I was trading after hours today, but I want to go ahead and let you guys know exactly what was going on through my mind and some mistakes I made today that I can learn from, and hopefully you guys can take away something from them as well. But in terms of what I saw going on, the Nasdaq was indicating signs of a sell-off all pre-market, right? How do I know this? Well, the Nasdaq ended up pushing up, right? And as it broke above the middle VWAP, it ultimately became overextended, got rejected, right? And it aggressively broke below the EMA and continued to sell off all the way to the bottom VWAP. Ultimately, it was able to find a support right around the bottom VWAP, right? It ended up changing direction once again, traded its way back all the way up to the middle VWAP, and the same thing happened as did before, right? As it broke above the middle VWAP, it really struggled to hold, became overextended, right? Got rejected and started to sell off and make these lower highs and lower lows. And then ultimately heading into market open, we did see a big pop, right? And this thing started to change direction very quickly. So that's one thing that really, where I struggled with in terms of today was getting a true sense of direction right at market open. The reason why is, as we see, this thing gapped up, then it got rejected, then it gapped back up, then it got rejected. So there was very, very fast changes in direction of the market, right? And so ultimately this thing did end up selling off, but I wasn't too comfortable getting in, very heavy because I wasn't too sure exactly which way direction was headed, right? Given these huge shifts in direction, it really made me uneasy in terms of sizing up. And so ultimately, as this thing started to sell off, right, what ended up happening, it ended up bouncing right around these areas. And so I was able to make money on SQQQ, but as this thing started to change direction, this is where I started to give back profits, right? So what I mean is this thing would broke above the EMA, right? And then once it finally became overextended and started to sell off again, I got into SQQQ thinking this thing was going to continue to sell off. But what ended up happening, it made a higher low and then ended up, trying to get rejected again. And I would get into SQQQ trying to predict the bottom, right? So that's really where I went wrong today. I was really trying to predict the bottom of where SQQQ would be and where this thing would reverse and continue to sell off. And by doing so, I was really just digging myself in a hole and giving away my profits, right? So although I was only up $27 on SQQQ, I was actually up a lot more on the day on it, but I just gave back everything by trying to predict the bottom, right? So that's definitely a lesson I learned where I will try to improve on heading into the rest of the week. But as this thing became overextended, we ended up seeing this nice fall, right? And so I actually was able to make money on this getting into SQQQ. But we saw this shift in direction again, right? And so as the later day progressed, what ended up happening was this thing started to trade sideways. I thought that we were ultimately going to sell off on the day, but that's not what ended up happening, right? Why did I think that? Well, the Nasdaq was very overbought around these levels because we did push up very aggressively. And as you guys can tell from the past, whenever the Nasdaq did approach these levels, it did get rejected, right? So ultimately, right, we were trading at these levels and pre-market we were selling off and we were making these lower highs and lower lows. Can you guys see that? Where this thing would peak out, get rejected, peak out, get rejected, and go lower than it did before, right? Then it'd push up, go lower in terms of a lower high, right, than it did before, and then it would get rejected and continue to form this lower pattern. So I thought we were going to push up, trade sideways, and get rejected and fall even more, but that's not what ended up happening, right? It was very frustrating because of the fact that all of pre-market, the Nasdaq, right, was respecting the middle VWAP and bottom VWAP. What do I mean? Well, as I mentioned, anytime it approached the middle VWAP, it'd get rejected and it'd bounce around the bottom VWAP, right? It'd approach the middle VWAP, get rejected, and bounce to the bottom VWAP. And so once this thing bounced on the bottom VWAP and pushed up, this thing was not really validating the middle VWAP at all, right? It would break above it, break below it, break above it, break below it. So it really didn't care and just stopped really validating the middle VWAP. So, that was pretty frustrating to see, especially because of the fact that direction was very clear pre-market. But, as we know, direction can definitely change once market opens. And, so it's really not too surprising that ultimately, because of the fact that we weren't able to break this support, that there wasn't enough time left in the day for this thing to really end up selling off. And so that is why, I ended red, but definitely a lot of mistakes that I made. And, I can definitely attribute some over trading, right? 152 orders, as I mentioned, that's a lot of orders for me. Definitely a lot more than normal. So I definitely want to, not get too impulsive of getting in. I don't always have to be in, especially when direction isn't very clear and it's trading sideways like this. It's probably not the worst idea to just stay liquid, stay cash, and not necessarily trade, right? Because although there is a little interval here where there's a common resistance around here and support around here, right? You just have to determine if it's worth it to you, these types of margins. But for me, it was just very clear to determine direction. So I decided to, or I actually overtraded today. But, looking back on it in hindsight, it wouldn't have been the worst idea to just stop trading once I saw this consistent choppiness, right? I could have just went on with my day and just set alerts if it broke above here or broke below here, right, to start getting into that action there. But I am excited heading into the rest of the week. I am going to try to implement good practices and habits. And one thing that I really did like about today, although it was a red day, I was able to manage my risk. A $30 loss isn't that bad when I'm trading with a 10K account size, right? It's like 0.3%. So not the end of the world. But yeah, I am looking forward to tomorrow's video. I will definitely be trading and posting a recap. So I hope to see you guys all then. If you guys are new to the channel, we do appreciate you guys dropping a like and subscribing. It really helps us out. And other than that, if you guys have any questions at all, you want me to break down a stock for you or any stock indicator, just go ahead and drop a comment and I will be more than happy to do that myself. But yeah, until tomorrow, guys, I hope you guys take care. Have a good Halloween, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice night.